We're muted, so she can't hear us.
Or
Oh, Michael did, though.
She looks enthralled in something.
Sheila, can you hear us okay in chambers?
Yes, I can.
There we go.
Okay, great. The time is now 7:03 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. May we have roll call, please?
Mayor Reichel, Pro Tem Hanrahan,
Here.
Trustee Britnall,
Here.
Trustee Klassen,
Here.
Trustee Engelhardt, Trustee Poston, Trustee Seifert.
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. The next item on the agenda is public comments. Persons desiring to make a public comment on any items not on the agenda this evening, please activate the raise hand function in the meeting program. Sheila, did we have any phone calls or emails?
No, sir, I did not hear from anyone.
Okay. Are there any hands raised in the meeting program?
I do not see any raised hands.
Do we have anyone signed into chambers to make public comments?
Nope.
Then the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the July 28, 2025 Board of Trustees meeting, renewal of retail marijuana store business license for Rifle Remedies LLC, doing business as Green Cross Silt, Resolution 23, Series 2025, Resolution 24, Series 2025, Resolution number 25, Series 2025, and a BLM trail easement. Do we have any questions or comments about any items that are on the consent agenda?
I don't think so.
No, I just it's gonna. Yeah, at the Stony Ridge. I know they said shelter by the horseshoe, but I thought we were contemplating just covering the whole thing.
Maybe someday.
It's someday, yeah, I don't know, that'd be a little bit bigger project, I mean,
I know. I just throwing that out just because.
they would, I mean.
Because I saw
if
the
we-
shelter.
If it
Yeah.
got covered and got enclosed somewhat, and we could play year-round without being in the cold, I'm sure they'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
But no, just do the other, would be great.
Yeah.
I have a quick question about the, excuse me, the BLM trail easement. What happens to that easement in the event of either a sale of one of the properties or a transfer of ownership?
The easement would remain. It would run with the land.
And it's in perpetuity?
Yes.
Okay. That was the only question I have.
I think that was my question too. I'm just looking here. I think that was my question too on the BLM. I think that was it, yep.
Yeah. Then I saw you put the drawing or the plans of the Grand Avenue improvements in there.
Yes,
Thank you for that.
that's a draft.
Yeah.
So if you think of any changes you'd like, let me know.
Now I just have a question. Is that paved trail going to be redone or just?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be redone.
Okay. That's the only question I have on that.
Joe, what's the deadline for feedback or requests for change on those drawings?
After tonight, after we get approval, I'll probably set up within the next 2 weeks for a discussion with the residents. You know, have them come into town hall and explain the project, and we'll do like we did on H Street, have a couple meetings with the residents.
And you'll let us know when that meeting or those meetings are so we can attend if possible?
Yes.
Great, thank you. If no one has any further questions, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Trustee Seifert to accept the consent agenda as presented, and that was seconded by Trustee Klassen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Do any board members have any conflicts of interest with any items on the agenda this evening?
No, sir.
Does staff have any agenda changes this evening?
We do not, sir.
To the Board of Trustees, does anyone want to add anything to the agenda? All right, then the next item on the agenda is a water plant construction update with Dan Galvin of Garney Construction. I'll turn this over to Manager Mann.
Evening, Dan Galvin with Garney Construction. This month's update for the water treatment plant construction project, health and safety. We start with continue to manage a safe site. No incidents to date to report. As always, plant staff and visitors continue to be good patrons wearing the proper PPE and high-vis equipment so that we can be seen on site. As we mentioned last time, we continue with mostly just small vehicle traffic and an occasional flatbed truck for deliveries. We continue with our weather awareness, have had some higher mid-90 degree days, monitor the heat index to make sure everyone on site is staying hydrated, and then hasn't been issues of late, but keeping out for lightning watch. And then just this week, we communicated with our crews about the fire and smoke awareness with that blaze up there north of Rifle. A little bit of smoke this morning, as you mentioned earlier, it kind of blew off in the afternoon. But again, we did make those comments to the guys and come into some inside to filtered air if need be and monitor that. Regarding construction progress, the pictures this month, maybe hard to pick out progress. We continue with interior process pipe, small bore PVC piping inside the plant. All of our major equipment is there, and that's a lot of what we're running piping between. Our electrician remains on site, running conduit again to this equipment that's been installed. Plumber remains on site, running some of his non-pot and potable water lines, working through our break room. Our tile guys on site this week, some other furnishings, the sink and some of the appliances, and I'll allow the plumber to continue in that break room area as well.
Can I ask you a quick question about
Yes,
that?
sir.
Dan? Is the process typically that those utility vendors are out doing the work as the equipment arrives and gets installed, instead of waiting till it's all in place and then they come out and do it all at one time?
Yes. That's part of our scheduling, but with our electrician who's been on site the whole time, yes, as the individual pieces goes in, it opens up work for him. A lot of his conduit is either stubbed through the wall or stubbed through the floor, and once that equipment lands, he's able to run the last 5 or 10 feet to make those connections. So it's efficient for his crews that as that equipment lands, he can get to it as opposed to waiting for it all to be there. The plumber is similar. He has some overhead pipe and other things he's running. They're just managing their crew size. So he goes from 1 to 2 to 3. As more work opens up, he'll just have that third body on site to be efficient with their time.
But overall, it improves the efficiency of the project steps.
Yes.
Things are being truly completed as the equipment arrives. I just wanted to make sure we talked about it briefly during this meeting so that the public knows that we're doing the best we can within this project scope to do the work as it shows up instead of wait,
Yes.
and then be in a rush to do it all at some later
No,
date.
Right. We schedule, we talk about, we're getting into our startup processes, so even project management staff, engineering, and the plant operations have been meeting regularly, and that those frequencies have been increasing where we're talking about starting up the equipment, which is a few months down. So even now, right, in the name of efficiency and being ready, we're already talking about the steps and what we'll need from plant staff so we can start up the equipment to be prepared for that. So on that note, schedule, mentioned the subcontractors on site, and so different from last month is with a little bit of design modifications and discussing available products from two of our vendors for two different pieces of equipment. Those two pieces of equipment continue to be in production and are going to push our startup. So for the last bit, we've been talking about tracking a September startup with these two pieces of equipment. Now we're looking more like a December startup. Again, with that intro there to schedule, our efforts will be to continue with what's available, getting everything piped and started up, all these other pieces of equipment. Most likely mob our crews off the site, leave a few guys around to do some punch list or ancillary items, and be completely ready that when this equipment does land on site, it'll only be a matter of a few days to get it installed and then go back into startup of the plant.
What were or was the root cause of these changes? Was it lack of equipment, supply chain complexity?
I would say design complexity. There was one piece of equipment that we had went through a few reviews and then further discussion with the vendor. Due to our low flow, they had to make some modifications to the piece of equipment. And so that the process is it goes through engineering on the vendor side, comes back on our side, gets reviewed, and so a couple of those steps had to repeat to get that piece of equipment into production. The other one was the strainer. We had, again, an initial piece of equipment on site. After continued review and engineering, talking that over with plant staff, it was, again, just a different vendor and different piece of equipment was determined to be a better fit for the plant.
Hey, it's better to figure that stuff out now than after. So yeah, so if it takes another month or two to get it done right, then it takes another month or two to get it done right. We're so close. I don't want to see it rushed.
No, of course.
Have we communicated that with CDPHE yet?
We verbally communicated that with Sean Oliver, but no, Garning
Okay.
still needs to follow up with.
Well,
the
and
town of
I
Silt
know
on
that we
extension.
received something about a closeout, because the original timeline had us finishing up
Right, around this time.
right around this time, and
Yeah.
so we have to ask that extension.
Right.
Okay.
But you'll coordinate
Yes.
to get those communications out in a timely manner. Jim, are we going to lose our competition now with the rest stop?
We are. Chances are we're not going to be able to beat the Vale Pass
Is
rest
there a
stop.
vendor penalty for that?
We might be able to work one up.
I think the penalty is to come here 3 or 4 more times.
Anytime you're going to be here, I'll run the meeting,
Yeah.
and that'll be pain enough.
LSTAT billing to date, just over 19.5 million out of the 24, representing about 81%. The electrician's contract remains there, and then a few of these like this delayed equipment is only submittals been paid for, so some of that equipment to be paid for. Else everything tracking just fine.
I got a question for you, and maybe I asked it way back when. The generator, is it big enough? I know it's big enough for that. Was it designed big enough for future expansion? Just curious. I mean,
I don't know that that answer. I know we have talked about a few things.
it's pretty good size.
Right, we increased the size of the of a circuit breaker to accommodate if there's a few modifications not made to the existing plant and the raw water pumps, we changed so that generator could power everything at full design, which is additional pumps at the raw water and increased horsepower
And that's
at the
kind of what I was
distribution.
getting
So
at.
yeah,
So we don't have to, yeah,
right.
okay.
Yeah, there are considerations for the 20-year out full design for that generator to power everything should it be called.
Has the road construction that's going on over there had an impact?
No. Those guys do a good job with their traffic controls, and currently they're in the shoulder. So I haven't, UPS, everybody's come through, nobody's said anything. Our crews come through early enough in the morning that we're not impacted.
And no equipment deliveries or
No.
vendors coming in with big trailers full of heavy-ish equipment, those types of things, no
all
impact?
all our big, large stuff is in. And again, just these last few pieces of equipment. Else, it's just small bore pipe being delivered and other small items.
Okay, great.
We do mention it, but HVAC, they're going to fly. Their units are all on site, but theirs have a boom truck. Again, it drives down the highway, so it shouldn't have any problem getting by those guys. Get down to site, and then they'll lift their equipment onto the roof middle of this week, first part of next week.
Do we know when they're scheduled to complete the road work?
It should be within the next month.
So it won't, you don't anticipate it would interfere with anything that you have on your schedule in the next month or so?
No, we've been coordinating with them because the Excel gas line is tied to a portion of their progress. And they are past that area, the 99% past the spot they had to be. So Excel will be potholing this week, and then they start boring their gas line next week.
Any other questions, comments? No?
Nope.
Great, thank you
Getting
for the
close.
updates.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Next item on the agenda is the special event permit hearing for the Silt Hay Day event on August 23rd, 2025. And I will turn this over to Deputy Clerk Malsbury.
He has been excused tonight. Since we did not have any protests, the deadline was actually Thursday afternoon at 5 o'clock. So we just wanted to make sure we had this on here just in case anybody had a protest. We have not received anything, so this item can be ignored.
Okay. Then the next item on the agenda, actually should I just do them all at once? Or
Yes.
do we need to do each one individually?
No, we can do the continuance all at once.
Okay, then the next item on the agenda is continuing 4 specific items. Ordinance number 5, Series 2025, Resolution number 18, Series 2025, Resolution number 19, Series 2025, and Resolution number 20, Series 2025. Any board members have any questions, comments, or concerns about continuing this?
No.
We'll point out that the continuation will go to not the 25th of August, but it will go to the first meeting in September, which is the 8th.
September 8th.
Yes. And so we just need to make sure we do the,
Put that in the motion.
yes, sir.
And just a quick verification, this continuance is requested by the applicant or by town staff?
It was requested late last week by the applicant.
I just want to make sure we get that out. As we've discussed in the past, there's been some issues back and forth, and so we just want to be transparent on why it's needed.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to extend second reading ordinance number 5, 2020, Series 2025, Resolution number 18, Series 2025, Resolution 19, Series 2025, Resolution 20, Series 2025 to the September 8th, 2025 meeting.
I will second.
All right, we have a motion by Trustee Seifert to continue, sorry,
We just need to add ordinance 5 into the motion.
is ordinance 5 on the agenda?
It's the first one.
Oh, it is, it's the very top. Okay, so we'll amend that to add ordinance number 5, Series 2025, also being continued to the September
I did.
8th,
I thought you
2025
said
meeting.
maybe not.
I think
Yeah,
did
I
too.
did. I read them all.
Okay.
That's all.
We have a motion by Trustee Seifert to continue the public hearings for ordinance number 5, Series 2025, resolution number 18, Series 2025, resolution number 19, Series 2025, and resolution number 20, Series 2025, until the next Board of Trustees not the next meeting, until the Board of Trustees meeting on September the 8th. And that was seconded by Trustee Clausen. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? Continuance carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the Flat Tops Cowboy Church and Western Slope Veterans Coalition Minor Subdivision Sketch Plan, and I'll turn this over to Director Centeno.
Alrighty. The Flat Tops Cowboy Church and Western Slope Veterans Coalition submitted applications for a minor subdivision as well as a planned unit development, which would be the zoning once the subdivision takes place for the secondary parcel. The current parcel that the church is sitting on is an R2 zone district, so it's exercised a special use approval to allow the church to be there. Once the subdivision takes place, what is being proposed for the subdivided parcel does not fit within the realm of any of our zoning, so that'll end up being a planned unit development. The church project entails an addition of the sanctuary, approximately 4,400 square feet. The Western Slope Veterans Coalition is proposing a 22 multifamily unit, which is 11 duplexes, 3 single-family units, which includes the manager's unit, and 1 community building. Just to give a little recap of the background, the Western Slope Veterans Coalition had come in front of the Planning Commission to put their project on a different parcel. The other parcel was not a viable parcel with adequate access for what it is that they were proposing from a legal right-of-way. It was going to be accessed off of an alleyway, which is a secondary means of access. So the town staff loved the project, just not the location. And so we were keeping our eyes and ears open to see if we could help facilitate a different location. We ended up talking to the Flat Tops Cowboy Church, and they had come in and with the question of subdivision and what that would look like. And then looking at the location, town staff decided that it would be beneficial to make an introduction and see if they could work something out between them, which has led to this. So we're happy with this location and the project as a whole. And the location is off of First and Home, where the Flat Tops Cowboy Church is currently. There is more information in the staff report on the process. The comprehensive plan deems this parcel as a neighborhood residential with higher density, which this aligns with what the comprehensive plan is trying to entail at that location. There is a conceptual plan, and this did go in front of the Planning Commission on August 5th, and they did receive an approval. Within our municipal code, a minor subdivision is a sketch plan is a planning and zoning approval. But given that this is a larger project, we wanted to make sure that we got it in front of the Board of Trustees to give feedback at the sketch plan process so that they can implement any changes that are needed before it comes directly to the Board of Trustees for final plat. The PUD will go to the Planning Commission and then back to the Board of Trustees. So we are looking for feedback rather than an approval or a recommendation, as it's already been approved by the Planning Commission. And I am happy to answer any questions that you might have. There is quite a bit of information that was in the packet. On page 81 of the packet, it gives a pretty good overview map of what the concept as a whole is going to look like. And that includes both the church edition and what the Western Slope Veterans Coalition is looking to do. And Sheila's zooming in on that right now. There is a property line that the proposed property line did change, and you can see that change on page 113. It just jogs in at the it's the west side of the church addition. It's going to jog in the property line more towards the parking lot so that it doesn't create setback issues for the church with their addition. So you can see where the property line jogs in to align better with the parking spaces. And there are several pictures in there from the Western Slope Veterans Coalition that highlight their sketch of what they're proposing to do. This feedback is for both, but this is the minor subdivision feedback. So any feedback that you have for either the subdivision or the Western Slope Veterans Coalition project would be greatly appreciated, or if you have additional feedback about the church addition as well.
Well, I guess I'm kind of looking through, I was looking through it, and maybe I'm not seeing it. Is it all going to dump on First Street, or are they going to come out on Home?
It'll come out on Home.
It will.
the access-
Okay, I guess I didn't see
The
it.
access for the Veterans Coalition will come out on Home.
Okay, okay, I just didn't see it on here exactly, so I just making sure, so.
Yes. And the church will maintain their current access.
Okay. I kind of thought so, but I didn't.
Yes, so it'll be, if you go to page 81, there's the West Home Avenue. It's gonna access right into that parking drive.
Okay, I see North First Street on 81.
On page 81, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, not 81. What page is that?
Page 81, yeah.
So within here, they'll access.
Oh, okay, I'm on the wrong page, that's why I didn't see it. Oh,
And
here
we did get feedback. They did proactively talk to the fire district, and they will have a hammerhead turnaround to meet compliance with what the fire department
Oh,
would
there
like
we
to
go.
see for
Okay.
access. And this is just a sketch plan. It's a concept. Things could change based off of feedback, but they've put a lot of thought into the current concept that they've presented.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I just have one. Is it going to be kind of like a private, or? And the reason why I'm asking is because it would at the north end there, it would be nice to kind of have a trail that crosses the ditch that kind of ties into the path where people walk, and that's why I was asking. You know,
Yeah.
if it's going to be like, I'm not saying gated, but if it's private, then I can see why they wouldn't. But if it's somewhat, where the public can drive in, it would almost be nice to have a trail to connect the other subdivision.
It'll be private, so they'll have their operating plan that they'll present at the time of
Okay.
site plan. But yeah, it'll be what their concept is, and I can let them speak to this a little bit more, but they are creating a helping hand up for veterans in the area. And so there will be a vetting out process that they do, and I'm sure that they're gonna wanna control the environment as much as they can. So I think a trail might prevent them from keeping as much control of the environment as they could.
Yeah.
So how are they gonna decide, I mean, it's for the veterans, but how do they decide who, is it a lottery or is it application, or, just curious, I mean, I don't.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, they do have basic plans, and they've worked with the housing authority, and you can correct me if anything is incorrect. But they've worked with the housing authority to figure out how they do it with senior housing and the established processes that they already have set in place. They'll kind of merge all of that once they get closer to an operating plan and exactly what that's gonna look like for this facility.
This might be a good segue into letting the applicant tell us more about the project.
Thank you very much. My name is John Kirsten, owner's land use consultant and developer of the project. With me, I've got John Pettit with the Western Slope Veterans Coalition, Pastor Jeff Kerr from the Flat Tops Cowboy Church, and then we have architect David Rosenfeld on Zoom. So we're hoping to be able to answer any questions you may have tonight. First, thanks for having us, allow us time to come in, short notice, and just give us some feedback on our sketch plan. We really appreciate that. We put a lot of effort into it to this day. Like Nicole said, we've been working closely with the town and the church, of course, to get this far. Can I share my screen? I could get.
Yes, Sheila, can you make John a co-host so that he can share?
Not yet.
And as that is happening, I will say that we appreciate them rallying and coming in tonight. It was Thursday morning when we realized we were going to have continuations, and we had space on the agenda, and they were able to jump in and fill it and come here tonight.
So I'm going to focus on let's go to the church site first, just because that one's really easy. So, and essentially, where we're at now is we've actually increased the square footage of the addition, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, you're around 6,000 square foot footprint, I believe.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So it's about 6,300 on each level. So the church has expanded a bit. So basically, we're looking at a main level sanctuary that you're seeing on this plan, and then some classrooms and things on the level below. So that's why we have that walkout coming out there to the west. But yeah, so basically, it's a two-story structure, and that's what's anticipated.
Thank you. And then, of course, we're going to improve the parking lot, all, hard surface pavement, and then fix this drainage, get rid of all the elm trees, provide landscaping. And what Nicole mentioned here with the property line, this is probably where we're going to end up, as you see the property line coming down the back side of the curb of the Veterans Project, and we'll just follow it all the way out. That gives the church a little more flexibility, a little more room for landscaping and room for their addition down in this drainage.
Is there going to be any kind of a, a divider where those property lines meet, a fence?
I don't think so right now. We've talked about just leaving it open. That way they can share parking. The church may actually participate with the veterans. We've got this community building. We are putting a small commercial kitchen in it, and the idea is to prepare meals for people in need, whether it's seniors or homeless or whatever it can be in the community, and the church would work with the veterans, and the hope is that the tenants living in the veterans community will be the ones helping prepare the meals along with the church members. So we kind of want to leave it open and just have landscaping, trees, grass. It'll be kind of like a little park, and David will show you the walkthrough here shortly. But so that's the church. It's really easy. Just it's main level and a basement addition, roughly 6,000 square feet each, parking lot. And then the veterans, of course, is here, and right now we've got it of these 22 small studio units. They're small duplex units. We've got two larger two-story 1,570 square foot single family units, and you can see a single family unit here and down on the end, and they're all the same footprint, so they're interchangeable. If we do decide to build this in phases, if for some reason we need to add another single family unit instead of a duplex unit, we can make that transition on the fly. So everything's the same footprint. And then we'll have a full-time manager's unit centrally located in the middle, so we've always got somebody on site. And then, of course, the community building I was talking about, which will have the commercial kitchen in the back, gathering room in the front, maybe pool table, some sort of recreation area. And we have two offices, and those can be used working with the VA and counselors. If they want to stop in, provide on-site counseling services, they can have private counseling at the facility. And they've already agreed. They like the idea.
Will the on-site manager act as a liaison to those groups, whether through the VA or otherwise, as needed, or are they strictly managing the facilities and the property itself?
Yeah, and we can let John talk to that if you'd like, but that is kind of the intent, I think.
I think the intent is that they would manage the site on a 24/7, basis, 365. And then as needed, they will have, communication, if you will, with the VA, with HUD as well. The HUD is going to be our partner, if you will. They are going to help us vet the veterans. They are going to help us, set the boundaries, set the rules. We're using the lease from the Silt Senior Center. Crystal gave us their lease. I've adapted that lease to our project. There's dog requirements, dog rules.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyway, whatever, we are pretty much tied in with the HUD program. So they've got a lot of support. They will be giving us the HUD VASH vouchers for the tenants, if you will. And our hope is that it'll be a transitional type complex. However, there could be some long-term residents in there as well.
So these are strictly for rent, right? Or, I mean, they're not for, you're not, these aren't sold.
Not for sale. So the Western Slope Veterans Coalition will own and manage the entire facility, and partnering with the Garfield County Housing Authority to administer the HUD, its VA voucher system, you may know it as, is they look at, one, they do the background check, and then two, they look at the income level of the veteran, and many of them can be, on disability or limited income. So HUD or VA offsets the rental amount to help subsidize the rent. One of the problems we're having in the area is with the increased rents, they're going up faster than we can build houses, is veterans are losing their homes because they're priced out of the market. So we've got that on one level. Another level, we're hoping, as our veterans come back into the public and try to reacclimate, this will give them a place they can live with like-minded other veterans and kind of form that community and kind of land for a year or two and work their way back into society and have access to health care if they need it, and just kind of develop a little neighborhood of like-minded people.
So there is no lease, they don't have to sign a lease then, or is it a month-to-month lease, or do they have to sign a long-term lease, or?
I believe it's month to month.
Month to month is probably what we're doing, and a little of this is going to depend on the need. I mean, right now, and that's why we threw a couple single-family units in there. There was a need for a single mother with a couple small children. So, we need to put a few units in to handle those situations. The vast majority of these are going to be single individuals or a couple that can comfortably live in a small unit. They just need a place they can afford and hopefully create that community. And if you look at the design, we can let David talk about this. Do you want to run them through the design real quick, David?
Yeah, absolutely. So really the idea is that it feels more like a park or a resort, versus barracks. I think that was the idea, is like that there is some therapy, there is the idea that this is a nice place to live. I mean, it's not, again, we're using concepts that we would use in golf cottages, like other kind of resorts, and we're applying that here with the veterans design. So you have these kind of individual clusters of units that can be easily phased, and then you have these outdoor, places where folks can gather. So it feels a little bit more like a village. Then you have the manager's residence more in the center. So the idea that the manager can kind of keep an eye on things, and kind of as they're overseeing the entire property. It's also laid out in a way that it can be phased. So you can basically start at the south, build a community building, build maybe the first 3 or 4 units, and the manager's unit, depending on the funding. And that can be built as one cluster. And then like John was saying, the footprints are all the same. So essentially we could put in another, their family unit if that's needed, or put in more of these duplex units. It's also nice that they're not just, they feel like single family residences, each one of these duplex units. So it's not like they're just a row of housing that are just small, 300 square foot houses. They actually feel like 800 square foot single family homes, but the front doors aren't all facing each other, and they're not all lined up along the parking. So it really kind of gives you the idea of more of a village and a cluster in the design, and then each kind of node, if you will, has a place where folks can go outside and gather, and it kind of feels like it's their own space. They have their own front yards and their own entries. And actually have an animation as well that I can share that I think will help.
Want me to play the video?
Oh, you've got it. Yeah, go for it. Pull it up. I think that really helps you feel the scale of it, and so some of the materials that we're talking about, and some of the variety as well. I can play it too if it's not working on your end.
Might have to, hang on.
Yeah, I can share it to you.
We'll all be ADA compliant.
That was going to be the next
Correct.
question.
Correct. They're all ADA compliant. There you go. So like we're talking about, the idea is that it feels more like a park, more like a resort. These don't necessarily have to be fire pits, but they can be kind of an outdoor seating gathering space. This is the taller unit. That's the family unit. And then all of these duplex units are the same. However, they're all, the roofs are kind of inverted in terms of the unit layout. And then all the units are facing basically in different orientations. So it doesn't feel like you have row housing that's all identical. So as you can see, as you're walking through, the scale kind of changes, but for cost, it's the same unit that's repeated, just in a creative way. And as we develop the design, we'll get more into what the materials are and those sorts of things. But this really gives you an introduction to the scale that we're talking about and some of the possible materials. And then with these curved walkways, again, I've used this concept in golf cottages and resorts, where the idea is that it doesn't, it actually feels larger than it is. So you have kind of you don't have these straight views that go all the way through from one end of the community to the other. It actually makes you meander a little bit and experience some of the landscaping, and again, gives folks their own yards, and it really gives them a sense of having their own space. And you can see the front doors aren't all lined up to the parking, so it's more internal to the community. This will give privacy both from the public and the private side. So there it is.
All right. If you want to see what each individual floor plan looks like, here's the duplex unit. See the door on either side, so they're not next to each other in the front. Great room, kitchen, bathroom, bedroom. So they're small, but they're efficient.
Exactly. I mean, it basically lives like a single bedroom unit, a one bedroom unit, but it is a studio. And then this is the community room. So we have an office in there, a private meeting room, and then the open public meeting room, and then a kitchen and two ADA restrooms as well.
Will the irrigation come off the town system, or is there irrigation on that property?
So after sketch, we'll start digging into the specifics of everything
Gotcha.
and meeting the subdivision code
I was
requirements.
just curious, yeah.
So we are working on all that. We don't quite have answers for everything yet.
Gotcha.
And I was just gonna say, with the fire pits, obviously get with fire marshal or whoever and make sure things are done correctly.
And those are just for show. They may
no,
not
exactly.
be
And
actual fire
Those are
pits.
conceptual. Yeah, those might
We've
just
had
get
some in the past
immediately.
where a developer put something in that wasn't like quite appropriate, quite what it should have been. And it's much easier to fix on the front end than it is to go back later and do stuff.
sure.
So.
Sure.
But I really love the idea, and he's saying the cottage kind of feel, it feels like a neighborhood, not just like a bunch of apartments, which is nice.
Right.
You're going to have a hard time getting some of these veterans to want to leave,
Probably.
right? I mean, we talk about temp to perm, but from a modeling standpoint, a community of like-minded individuals with similar experience and background, it's the literal and figurative definition of a community that you're building. They're going to be hard-pressed to want to leave. That's the risk, right?
It'd be a great thing for Silt. It really would. It'd be a great project, I think,
No, I think it's a great project and a much better location. That was just way too tight and congested over there.
I guess one thing I would add is hopefully the developer considers hiring a veteran to manage the property. I think that would be a great fit in terms of someone, just because they're managing the property, if they're also like-minded, again, same life experiences or similar life experiences, it just breeds a lot more empathy and compassion in what could be difficult conversations.
So I'm a Marine Corps vet, Vietnam vet. Our board is made up of Jeremy Oates. He's a Green Beret, 23-year veteran. John Beckus, his son is the namesake, if you will, of the whole deal. Western Slope Veterans Coalition started because of the two suicides, Jesse Beckus, John's son, and Casey Owens in 2013 and 2014. and I and another guy got together, and I hadn't been involved in the VA in 40 years. And anyway, that's how Western Slope started. We spent 2 years having coffee and donuts at the library. We got our 501c3 in 2016. 2017, Garfield County gave us a small office for $1 a year. And 2019, we opened that on the Marine Corps birthday, 2017. 2019, they came to me and asked if I wanted the rest of that corner. So it's now we have 5,000 square feet. We have a library, we have computer room, we have flight simulator, office, boardroom, not rental, but a meeting room area, pool room, exercise area with big screen TVs. So, and we opened that, so we remodeled it during COVID that whole year, and then we opened it 2021, in June of 21. So that's that's our footprint, if you will, in the community. And we were given $100,000 by the DAV in Denver, asking us what we would do with it. And we had been talking about, throwing it around. What is our long-term, 5 to 10 year goal? And we have our emergency fund, we have the facility, and we thought, maybe try to build some tiny homes. And it's just taken off. And that's where we're at. We took the 100,000, they gave us the 100,000. We've gone through about 30 of it. I think we're gonna have 40 in it when we pay for the traffic study. But anyway, that's where we're at.
So the question is, what is the time frame? I mean, what are we looking at just generally? I mean, a year, 2 years, or?
Depends on the town.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I know this is kind of preliminary, but Nicole, Matt, what are we looking at? Just a rough idea.
Yeah, so after sketch plan, then they take all the feedback that they got from the commissioners and the trustees, and then they'll develop their final plan, and then they'll go back in front of the planning commission with the PUD, and then the PUD and the final plat plan will come to the trustees. So as soon as they are able to button up what their project, all the feedback and what their final project is going to be, they'll submit that to the town, and then we'll progress through the final phases. And construction after that will just depend on when they're ready to submit for building permit.
So that's probably next spring, or?
Yeah, so the real quick thing is, once we get approvals, then we can go after the grant money. Grant writers really don't like concept projects, they like shovel-ready projects.
Yeah.
So once we get final approvals, we've got a deal with Jeff, essentially a year to pay for the property and kind of move to that next step. So as soon as we have approvals, we're going to move right into fundraising. They're already doing some preliminary fundraising and have several commitments, but until we have a real project, it's kind of difficult to start taking money for it. Mm-hmm. But we're hoping that'll go pretty quickly. Best case scenario, we get approvals, in the next few months. We're almost done with construction drawings for the site. All the civil drawings are within 30 days. So we can get those turned around and resubmitted. And then if we get approvals shortly after that, we'll go hard into fundraising in the winter, and we'd love to break ground in the spring on infrastructure. Meanwhile, we'll apply for grants for vertical construction and then just see what that grant cycle brings us. There's generally 2 a year. The good news is at the federal level, it sounds like there's going to be some money opening up for veterans projects, and then we'll just have to see at the state level. I don't know if there's going to be any left, but we'll start pursuing it. We've got a lot of private commitments already. We just have to kind of get approved and cross that bridge when we get there.
What's going to happen first, the church or is that going to be coming in online too then? The church edition, is that going to be before this or during this, or?
So
We will be ready to, as soon as we get approval from the city and then get our building permit, we'll be ready to start construction.
So you don't have to worry about, you're not going for grant, that's a separate deal then? Okay.
Yes.
Separate project, yep. So essentially, the Veterans Coalition is purchasing the property from the Cowboy Church.
Okay, all right.
But we're working together as one land use application and doing both of these, the subdivision and the PUD together. It's like it's a single project, but 2 separate ownership, 2 separate projects.
Okay.
So once the subdivision is approved, they'll have their own site plan review process that they'll go through to button everything up That'll be where landscaping is looked at closer and some of those elements, lighting and the look, the architectural side.
I think it's important to commend the church as well for getting involved in a project that was having some difficulties literally finding a place to exist. And again, I want to commend you on stepping up. This is really the meaning of community, right?
Absolutely, and that's
Two groups come together. You may not have a lot of other ties that bind you, but to get this project done, the church steps up and says, we've got land, let's work together. I was in the audience during the Planning and Zoning Commissioners meeting, and I found them to be very receptive. It's worth noting also that the applicant was very open to answering some specific questions. I know Commissioner Aragon, he had some questions about drainage, and you didn't have the answers at the moment, but they're working very quick to resolve them. There was also a resident of the Silt community in the audience, and she had some concerns about lighting, and she also had some concerns about her property, which is adjacent, and possibly setting up some fences or another barrier. At every point in the discussion of the planning and zoning, as well as here tonight, the applicant has been willing, ready, and able to do what is needed to get this over the finish line. And to that end, I think the town will be willing, within reason, to do the same thing, to make sure that we can move the process along quickly for you, so that when your shovels are ready, we're ready.
Thank you, we appreciate
thank you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
I mean, really, by the look at this, the way it's laid out, it's amazing. I mean, I can see this being almost like a plan, a system that somebody could use, other communities could use this similar system to put it up, because obviously it's something that's needed.
We have Channel 9 out of Grand Junction that has been hounding us.
Yeah.
When is this thing going to actually happen? And we want to get involved, and we want to start, doing whatever doing
stories, yeah.
stories on it.
It's a great model.
Like you said, I think just big picture, 30,000 feet. This could be replicated
Oh, yeah.
in any small community. It isn't for the big city, but for small communities where you're far enough away from the VA, that becomes a problem, so.
I mean, because
Thank
then,
you.
yeah, again, the bigger picture, you could possibly, I mean, for the community, you could, through the manager, you could have transportation could be set up to go for people to the VA for appointments if you're a ways away and
Yep.
things like that. I mean, there's so many things that could go further from that. It's really a great thing.
Thank you.
And integrating with members of the Silt community for events and participation and stuff like that.
And if I can speak to that too, on the church part of that, as part of the sanctuary plan, I mean, that's something that we want to be able to offer to the community as well. I mean, it'll be the largest room in this town for sure, as well as probably within the valley. I know we were at the Cattlemen's Association meeting last spring, and that room was packed and there wasn't room for anybody in there, and we would like to be able to offer this room out to community use for those types of events, for nonprofit type stuff. We're not looking for people to come in and hire it out, but any nonprofit type thing would be able to, obviously with scheduling and stuff, be able to offer that to the community for use, as well as our facility will have a commercial kitchen in it as well. So just being able to try to do whatever we can to lend a hand in the community. So
We view it as a partnership with the church. We really do.
And this was, when I came on as a pastor of this church 3 years ago, with that property over there, I've spent literally about the last 2 years trying to figure out a way that we could do something with that 2 acres that would benefit, and this just fell into place, just perfectly. So
The stars aligned, for sure.
yes,
You
we like to think God was involved in that.
You didn't
but-
say divine intervention. That was your moment.
Well, I like to think that God was involved in that. So
Well, we've got 2 young men that took their lives, and it just seems like, I get choked up, but it just seems like all along when we started it, in the library, it just seems like, when we needed something, it came up.
I really believe that.
Yeah.
So,
I'll finish this by saying, when you guys are in construction mode, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to literally lend a hand in trying to get this stuff built and get this done for our veterans. I think it's
Thank you.
vitally important to our community.
thank you.
Appreciate that, for sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you.
All right, then we'll move
Nope.
on to the next
Sounds
item.
good.
Thank you, gentlemen, for
Thank you very
joining
much.
us.
Thank you all, we appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the first reading of ordinance number 8, Series 2025, an ordinance of the town of Silt, Colorado, setting the title and content of a ballot issue for a tax on tobacco and tobacco products, to be submitted at the election to be held on November 4, 2025. I will turn this over to Manager Mann.
This would be the first reading of an ordinance that would set a ballot initiative in November to implement a tobacco tax in the town of Silt for all tobacco products sold. It mirrors the ordinance that was adopted by the town of Newcastle. There is one question that we highlighted that we wanted to get some feedback from the Board of Trustees, is as this ballot language would place a $4 a pack tax on cigarettes and a 40% tax on other tobacco products. The question is, how do we implement the cigarette tax? Currently, the tax that was created in the town of Newcastle had a step-in feature. They're at $3.80 for 2026, increasing 10 cents each year. Question for the Board of Trustees is, do you want to rip the Band-Aid off and go right to the $4 a pack, or do you want to mirror what Newcastle was doing and stepping into it with 10-cent increments going forward? The tax revenues, which are estimated at about $325,000, would be used exclusively for parks, recreation, park improvements, recreation programs, and special events.
So it says here, the Newcastle will not reach the maximum $4 pack until 2028. So they're
There now.
Yep.
so 3 more years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that 250,000 in annual revenues, is that based on the 4?
So the 250 is extrapolated based upon what Newcastle is currently generating per capita. We
Okay.
put $325,000 in the ordinance simply because we don't know what the tax is going to generate in the town of Silt.
Oh, that's true. yeah.
What we do know is that when Newcastle implemented their tobacco tax, in the first year they had to suspend it after, I think, 2 or 3 months because it generated a lot more than they anticipated. And so we're utilizing the per capita revenues that Newcastle is receiving and just extrapolating that to the population of the town of Silt to come up with our number, and then padding it to make sure that we've got room under Tabor to make sure that the
Okay.
tax can stay implemented.
So I guess you're saying there's a possibility if we started at 4, we'd bring in too much and have to.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's not too much. It's just what it's
It
going to
just- yeah.
generate.
Just bringing the Jemima's generated, yeah.
Yeah.
Or people will go to neighboring communities to buy cigarettes because
Or they
the
may
tax
choose
and
they
the-
may
the
choose to go to
cost
a
is
different
less.
community.
Yeah. I think they do that now. I think a lot of them that commute probably skip Newcastle and they'll stop here or wherever.
Well, I think some people buy them here more than they would Newcastle, or even because Glenwood has a tax as well, don't they? Or
Yeah.
no, does Rifle have a tax as well on theirs? Or
They do not have a tax yet.
They don't currently? I mean, I would almost be in favor of going, and I don't think we start at the 4. I think ripping the band, starting at the 4 would be,
Yeah.
I mean, and this is just from what I've heard from some people, obviously the people that when they first got wind of this, that were tobacco users, were, you guys are doing, I was like, well, first of all, we, as the board, we aren't able to do anything. We can get it on the ballot. It's up to the community to do it. It's up
Yeah,
to
it's
the
up to the
community to decide
voters,
what
yeah.
they want to do. But also, raising revenue is a very important thing, as we've talked about. There's only so many sources of revenue that we have. There's only so many things we can do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I would want to start at any higher than the 3 and then go up from there. And we could do a similar model of the 10 cents per year, however we want to do it. But again, I think it's just important that people realize that it is a ballot issue still when it comes down to it. Just like everything, just like a lot of things are. That's not just 7 people up here or whatever saying, we're going to tax you. It's not how it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to the voters, but, the voters don't necessarily make the right decision in every case, so.
Well, the voters never make a wrong decision according to the voters.
Well, that's true, yeah. That's
It
true.
depends on which voter you're talking to.
Yeah.
The voters that yeah, exactly. We can go into that whole thing, whatever.
No,
Basically, what it boils down to is
If we
you
started
come up to a
at
vote.
3, would you put in then a step grade to a certain year
We-
to the maximum, or, I mean, I'm just at,
We certainly could. We do not have to do what the town of Newcastle's doing.
We can
the
say
way
put it
this
at
is
3 and leave it at 3.
the way this is written is it starts at 380 and it would step up to the $4 and it would mirror exactly what the town of Newcastle. Board of Trustees could choose to do a lesser tax. I don't know that I would advise that. Or you could, and leave it the lesser tax, or you could choose to say, hey, we're going to start at $3.50 and we're going to go up and we'll catch up to Newcastle in 2028. So it would go up 25 cents a year. You can choose to do any combination that you would like to as part of this ordinance. It will impact the revenues that are received. We, I think, have a pretty good idea that there's a lot of park and recreation needs that we can program the dollars for.
so
And
is
so
that something we gotta put that in the ballot, though, how we're gonna step that up then? Does that have to?
Yes, we would have to change the second, I think it's the second paragraph where it says, it says beginning January 1, 2026, it starts out at 380 as it's currently written and then goes up to $4, stepping at the same 10 cents a year that the town of Newcastle is doing. That is not set in stone, and you as the board can choose to change that and set the level at however much you would want it to be at.
I mean, I don't know.
I
say we mirror what Newcastle.
you could do exactly what Newcastle does. I mean, the only thing, if we're doing an alternative, would be start at the 350 and then do 25 cents a year. So just say we get to this $4 at the same time they do, but it just gives it a little bit of a change. But I mean, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference because people that use tobacco are going to use tobacco regardless for the most part. And some people feel it's unfair because they look at it, we're taxing their addiction or however they want to do it, but it's their choice.
So we're all in general agreement to do it. We're really discussing how. Is that a fair assessment?
Exactly, because, the voters will say yes or
I mean,
no.
we're gonna
Right, to put it on the ballot, that is,
Yeah, we
not to
agreed we were
enact
gonna
it.
put that
right.
on, it's just how we're gonna get there. Whether we start at 350, 380,
Yeah, because obviously if we don't put it on the ballot, the answer is no.
Then it's an economics question, right? Do we maintain price parity with our neighboring community? Or do we come up with our own model? How long ago did Newcastle pass this or this get voted?
I think they are this is their 7th year. So they adopted this 7 years ago, if I recall correctly.
So it's a 10-year
Yeah.
price increase
Yes.
increment for them.
Yes.
Whereas we would be looking at a 3-year increment if we were trying to maintain price parity.
I don't think we need to maintain price parity.
Would you advocate then doing a 10-year plan where we would catch up in 2035? Or do we
Well,
increase the rate
Why do we
at a
need to catch
different
up
amount?
to them, is what I'm saying.
So what are you suggesting, I guess? Because
Are you
Well,
at-
I'm just saying, we don't have to catch up to anybody. We can do our own tax.
what would you suggest then?
I'm fine with what's in front of me.
and a $4 max?
let's start, so they're starting at 3,
Yes.
We would start at 380 in 2026. In 2027, it would go to 390, and then in 2028, we would be at the $4 maximum. The price or the tax on tobacco is straight 40%, and that starts immediately.
And there would be no expiration on this, I mean, this just continue on.
It would just continue. There's no sunset as the way this is currently written.
But it would stop at the $4 max.
It does stop at the max. And as societal habits change, there could be a degradation in the amount of tobacco revenues that you receive over time.
That's true.
But we would be dealing with that as we go.
We'll just start taxing bubble gum. I'm kidding.
Straws and sodas.
And in 10 years, if the town feels it's not enough, you can always put it out to the voters again.
You just do like Glenwood Mall, you just forget about it and just keep charging it over the. It never did ever disappear, it was supposed to.
I'm fine with it written the way it is. Again, I view it through the lens of economics, which is to maintain price parity with our neighboring community. I think it makes it easy for the consumer. It makes it easy for people who are smokers. They may not like it, but at least it's consistent between zip codes. I think it's also easily understandable by voters what the funds are going toward. And I think obviously we'll probably want to revise the language on the ballot a little bit. But beyond that, I'm fine with it.
Now would be the time to revise the language on the ballot.
This is our only swing.
This is it.
No, this isn't the only swing. We have to have a second reading, but
We got to get past this, yeah.
So you good with 380 or you still want look 350?
380 is fine. It doesn't really, it's not a huge difference either way, to be honest.
I mean, I'm fine with what's written in front of me. That's just me, though. I'm only one vote.
I would like to see the language better reflect that this tax is not a tax on the citizens of Silt across the board. Anyone who lives
I
in
think they
Silt
know
is paying
that.
this.
Newcastle doesn't have it in there. It's just a general tax. I don't know if
Well, yeah, if you don't smoke, you're not paying the tax.
Yeah, you're not paying the tax,
yeah.
so.
But I'd like to see the language perhaps reflect that.
I'm happy to do that. I just need direction of where the language needs to be and what language you're trying to
I
address.
think when people read a ballot and they see the word tax, they think it applies to all of us collectively.
It does. It's going to, though. It's going to be anybody that stops through here.
But it doesn't. It only applies to people who buy cigarettes.
But
When you
it's
see
I know
Silt is
that, but it's
instituting
anybody
a
that
tax.
stops by and buys a cigarette, doesn't nevertheless whether they're the town resident or not.
It does state that in that first paragraph, shall the town of Silt increase taxes on the sale of tobacco and nicotine by up to a dollar amount.
Yeah. And then I would read that and go, hey, I don't smoke. I
Yeah.
don't have to pay it.
I mean, the group that will do some support of this would need to make it clear that it's not a general tax.
Yeah, it's-
Silt's lobbyists.
No, not Silt's lobbyist.
This is going to be the town of Citizen Silt's only voting on this, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I like it what it is, but you never know. It may fail big time and not have to worry about it. You don't know what's going to happen.
I'll take a deeper look at it, and maybe for the second reading, I may not have any suggested language changes, but to be perfectly honest, I haven't had enough time to really think through the messaging in the ballot language. So I'd like to reserve the opportunity to provide more feedback at a later date. How about 2 weeks from tonight?
It sounds like a perfect timing.
All right, let's book
We'll
it.
be here.
Most of us.
Most of us will be.
All right. This is a public hearing item. So-
Yes, it is a public hearing item.
If the trustees don't have any further comments or questions,
sir.
I will open the public hearing on it. Okay, the time is now 8:15, and I will open the public hearing on the first reading of ordinance number 8, series 2025. Persons desiring to make a public comment on this specific item on the agenda, please activate the raise hand function in the meeting program. Sheila, did we have any phone calls or emails about this item?
No, sir, I did not hear from anyone.
Are there any hands raised in the Zoom program?
There is not, only staff is attending.
And there's no one else in chambers with us? Okay, the time is now still 8:15, and I will close the public hearing on the first reading of ordinance number 8, series 2025, and open it up for further board comment or a motion.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 8, series 2025 as presented.
Would anyone care to second that?
I'll second it.
Speed bumps. Motion by trustee Seifert to approve the first reading of ordinance number 8, series 2025, and that was seconded by trustee Brittenall. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 26, series 2025, a resolution of the Board of Trustees supporting a joint grant application with the Garfield County Housing Authority for the Silt Senior Housing Remodel Project to the Garfield County Federal Mineral Lease District in the town of Silt, Colorado. I'll turn this over to Manager Mann.
Earlier this evening, you approved 2 grant applications for Garfield County Federal Mineral Lease for Phase 2 of the Grand Avenue reconstruction project, and also a mini grant for improvements at Stony Ridge. The Mineral Lease District does allow for additional applications to be submitted if they are joint applications between more than one governmental entity that is eligible to submit a grant application. I think we had talked about in some of our strategic planning that we had some work to do over at the Housing Authority, and that projects would be forthcoming, but we really didn't have a funding source. Public Works staff did a yeoman's job of working with some contractors to come up with estimates on what it was going to cost to do some of the rehabilitation. We came up with a budget that is roughly $700,000. The joint grant application would be with the Garfield County Housing Authority, and it requires a 30% match with the the municipal entities that we would split with the Housing Authority. We're proposing that we would split it 75% town, 25% Housing Authority. That would cover the match that we would be required to provide. The Housing Authority, Silt Housing Authority, does have adequate fund balance to cover the approximate $170,000 of our portion of the project. And we have a rather unique opportunity right now because 3 units are vacant and that we're not trying to fill. We need 4 units because of the way the facility is constructed in common wall. We need 4 units, 2 on the first floor, 2 on second floor, to be able to do a remodeling project. And so we are working to try to, figure out what we're going to do with that 3rd or that 4th resident as we look at the remodeling project. But we're looking for the authorization to go ahead and submit the application. I do have a meeting scheduled with the Housing Authority, which occurs on I'll tell you in a moment. It occurs on the 27th of August, which obviously it happens after our board meeting, so we wanted to get this in front of you. If we can't come to terms with Garfield County Housing, we just won't submit the grant, but we'll have the authorization to go ahead and do it.
So if we get that fourth unit open, basically what it'd be is you remodel 4, move people from the old units to the new units, remodel 4 more, and just continue the cycle.
Yep.
That would make
And-
sense.
and the 700
reduces costs because we aren't rehoming 4 people, maybe
Right.
possibly 1, but not 4.
Right. And the $700,000 is the estimate that covers all the rehabilitation necessary for the units, as well as replacing the lifts inside the unit. And correct me if I'm wrong, Director Lundin, we're also adding a lift on the second floor for a short stairwell,
Yes, a short one, a short lift.
which would make it a little bit more accessible for all parties involved.
And everything will be brought up to code, up to ADA compliance, et cetera, et cetera.
The one apartment will be completely ADA compliant. That's the most expensive one to remodel.
And is that one out of each group of 4?
No, it's just one in the building.
One in the
One
whole?
One out of
We're
20.
required
Yeah.
to have 5% of the facility fully ADA accessible. And so that's just the one unit.
Move the fourth person in with you while we're doing the remodel.
It's a
You
2-bedroom,
could. I
right?
wouldn't appreciate it, but you could.
You got a
I mean,
big
that's
garage, Jerry.
city property, we could, you know,
Can we vote on that?
oh, yeah, we'll make a motion there on that, huh? Jim's shaking his head.
That this seems like a rare and unique opportunity where the funding is potentially lining up, the space itself is lining up from an availability standpoint. I don't know how we would justify not doing this right now.
Especially, at least not asking for the grant. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a no-brainer.
If the grant doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen.
we can't
But
do it right
we've
now.
got to do everything we can. This has been an ongoing discussion, I think, as long as I've been a trustee.
years, yes.
Is what are we going to do about the senior housing facility?
Yep.
And we finally have an opportunity to do it. This is an easy yes for me. Any other concerns?
No,
Questions,
I say
comments?
do it.
Otherwise, I'm happy to entertain a motion and preferably also a second.
I'll make
Mr.
a
Mayor.
motion to
Yeah, there
approve
you go.
resolution number 26, series 2025 as presented.
Second.
A motion by trustee Brentnall to approve resolution number 26, series 2025 as presented, and that was seconded by trustee Seifert. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Either we
motion
don't say
carries.
anything or we talk at the same time, yeah.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda, manager and staff reports, and I will turn this over to Manager Mann.
I just have a couple of extra items off my report. You all got an email saying that we might end up with a bunch of firefighters camping over at Roy Moore Park. We don't know whether that's going to happen or not, but there's a distinct possibility. And obviously, we want to support the wildland crews as much as we can, simply because they're doing yeoman's work in the area. Another item that came up in some conversation, and I've been noticing a few things as I walk around the community, but currently code limits the number of chickens you can have on your property to 3. There are a number of properties that have more than 3. 3 is a relatively arbitrary number. And there's another piece to this, which is we just got done with the Garfield County Fair, where a lot of youth participate in the 4-H program, and they raise certain animals. Well, some of those animals they shouldn't have in the town of Silt. So in our conversation, we talked about whether we should be looking at modifying the code to build some language in there that allows for the 4-H participation that doesn't just limit it to chickens, but then also evaluate whether we want to modify the ordinance regarding keeping of chickens to be more of a property maintenance concept as opposed to the number of chickens. So I wanted to just throw that out, and whether you wanted to have some discussion, then you can kick it to the code committee. If you don't want to have any of that discussion, tell me now, and we won't bring it up.
I was actually approached by a Silt resident specifically about the limit on the number of chickens. I wish I were making that up, but I'm not. So it may be worthy at least of a brief code subcommittee discussion. I'm guessing it's not in 16 or 17, so it might be a little while. It's not going to be top of the list.
Probably not.
Yeah, I'm open to the idea of at least looking at what are other similar communities doing and updating our codes based on that. Because we don't know the criteria. I assume that is, we don't know the criteria under which these rules were written back in the Middle Ages, apparently.
They're
it was
not,
that far
that
ago.
old, no.
No,
I
they
say the
weren't.
chickens one. I mean, it could be somebody probably at some point was like, well, 3 chickens are going to be less noisy than 6, or something like that. Was probably why they made the difference
Yeah.
between 3 versus 6
It wasn't that
versus
many
whatever.
years ago.
Something along those lines. I don't know, but
Well, the thing is, if you think about it, only 3 dogs are allowed. You're only supposed to have 3 dogs. That's probably where the 3 came from. I don't know. I'm just assuming. Because there is town code on number of dogs.
Is it 3 of every animal?
You can have a zoo.
we just didn't want to be like no.
3 cats,
one
3
Yeah.
dogs.
one
This
extra.
is the weirdest arc I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Odd number for an odd town.
New slogan.
The branding's not done yet, right?
Not done yet. All right, so we'll send that and have some discussion at the code committee. The last thing I'm going to mention is that on September 9th at Colorado Mesa Asteria Theater, Governor Polis will be answering questions from the community for a PBS thing. It's at 6:30 p.m. Tickets are free if anybody is interested in going. It would be good to have at least a few people from Silt there. I plan on going. The theme of it is, what has Governor Polis done for the Western Slope? I could give a very short answer, but I won't politically do that right now.
Not much.
I'll go with you.
All right. Okay. That's all I had.
Any questions for Jim about his memo? I have a couple of questions about the transportation section.
I was just about to say, I just thought it interesting that most of the routes going to Glenwood and any Glenwood are, I mean, I wonder almost Raftic just did it just to the Glenwood, something from Rifle to Glenwood, if they would help their costs or something with their business model, because it's definitely interesting, and some interesting data in there about how the number of that start and stop in Rifle and Silt, but yet that has the fewest number of routes.
And if Parachute gets in,
Yeah.
how does that potentially change the math? The 2 questions I have are, based on Rifle's annual contribution, which I think was $40,000, was there any discussion about what Silt's may or may not be, even a ballpark or?
No, we just had some general conversations, and we will include some dollars in our budget this year, which will be up for discussion for the board as it deliberates what to include in the 2026 budget. I can tell you that the Garfield County has made it very clear that they are going to be reducing their contribution to the bus routes, the hogback, because of their budget constraints. And I know that there was a commitment from Rifle that they would increase their contribution. Right now, Silt does not make any contribution toward the route. So it'll be, I'm sure, a spirited discussion.
Did RAFTA discuss or even hint at any possibility that they were going to have to raise their rates based on what you just said about Garfield County's reduced and the increased cost of running the busing service in the years to come?
They did not indicate that they would be increasing rates. They made a commitment that they would maintain, even with a reduction in Garfield County contribution, they committed that they would continue the same number of routes at least through 2026. After that, I don't know. And the commitment, it was a commitment, but obviously, as they get into their budget process, you never know what's going to happen.
Do we know when that is? Their budget? Is their FY the calendar year, or is it off?
Would have to check. I do not know the answer to whether they're a calendar year or an off date.
Those were the only questions I had based on Jim's report.
But they haven't indicated discontinuing service.
No.
Okay.
They indicated a commitment that they would maintain the same level of service through 2026. At least that was their goal.
Okay.
They could reduce service and cover the loss in revenue that they anticipate and the loss that they take on the route. And we spent a lot of time talking about the fact that we have that hole in the middle of the day that causes problems. Unless you're a commuter, you're not taking the bus because you're going to either go early in the morning and not be able to get back until late afternoon, or somebody else has to drive you and then you have to wait until the end of the day to come back.
And we know from the people who've came during our own public comment periods that their use cases were generally outside of normal business commuting for work.
Well, like some of those would even be just people taking the bus to Newcastle or taking the bus to Rifle and back during the middle of the day,
Right.
which currently they can't do.
Right. Yeah, going one way doesn't solve the problem, I don't believe, for anybody who provided public comments to us.
Yep.
So we definitely need to look to evolve our transportation model in some way. Okay, no one has any other questions for Jim or tout staff. I'll move on to the next item, which is updates from the board or board comments. Trustee Britton, I will start with you.
Just school starting soon, so start being more aware of all the kids out walking to and from schools, with their speeds in the roads and all that good stuff. Public safety is one of the most important things because nobody wants to deal with the implications of not being careful with kids who are walking to and from schools and stuff. And then just thanks to the town for all the work that everybody's been doing. And Haydays is in just under 2 weeks now, August 23rd. Big day for the community, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of fun to be had. So please get out and see us.
Trustee Clausen?
And I'll mirror what Trustee Britnell said, and I just wanted to real quick talk about trees, tents, and trailers. And I'll do the tree first. Can we get that tree on the corner of 7th and Main replaced, one that was cut down in one of the grades?
Yes, we'll get a back truck set up for that and replace it.
Oh, okay, thank you. And then tents. I haven't looked into the code on this, but I've noticed a lot of tents popping up around town, like tents that people use as garages and stuff. And like across the street from me, for example, there was one, then there was two, now there's three, and it's like, when does it stop? And all over town, I see these little tents popping up everywhere. So is that something we need to revisit, or?
Yeah, we did, within the building code adoption, it does talk about temporary structures. And those fit within the temporary structures, and they're not permitted to be more than 180 days.
Okay.
And have to meet wind and snow load.
Gotcha.
So that's something we can add to our list of code compliance that we need to address.
Okay. All right. I was just curious. And then on the trailers, it's the same thing. It's more a code question. Across the street, there was an old trailer that supposedly nobody was living in, but they've literally torn it down and rebuilt it, one wall at a time. Because I live catty corner and I could hear the sawzall going on the metal and it's really loud. But yeah, then they would they gutted the trailer, then they tore one wall down, 2x4 studs and redid it. Then they did all 4 sides of the trailer. So I don't know if they got permits or
They did
if
not.
is the trailer part
We
under different
have-
rules?
Yeah, we have a meeting with the property owner, and he's gonna come down and do a walkthrough with us so that we can address all of those issues.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
It has been brought to their attention.
Gotcha. I was just curious. Oh, and I guess it doesn't have a T word, but the Camarillo progress. It looks like they're moving really, really slow.
Really, really slow.
Yeah.
They're not moving very fast at all.
Yeah,
And
they're,
Which is slow.
very slow.
Yeah.
And they did get their water line tested today and their sewer line tested, so that all passed.
Oh, good, good.
They're supposed to be having asphalt coming, I believe, end of this week, first of next week.
Oh, okay.
But we've been keeping a very close eye on them, the Public Works Department, and with their inspections, making sure they're doing things right. Because it's hard to see what's really going on over there because it is a mess.
Oh, I bet, yeah. So, that's all I had. Thank you, town staff, for all the good work you did.
Trustee
Question,
Seifert?
now that, I'm assuming it's one corporation, being Dollar Tree is no longer Family Dollar or Dollar General, do they have to reapply for anything, or that just stays the same?
they, outside of the sign exception and not being compliant with that approval, since they removed the Dollar Tree sign,
they
which
just add
we've
and
talked
did
to
some
them about
paint?
today. They're gonna have to remedy that, but all of the approvals for retail was a use by right, so they're not,
Doesn't, okay.
yeah, it doesn't affect their usage.
I seen the sign there, it's like, whatever.
Yeah, we're addressing the sign. We had a conversation with them today about it.
Was it literally paint?
It's all one now, they're sold nationwide, I guess, there's no more Dollar, or,
Yeah, so Dollar Tree is
Dollar-
what was removed.
yeah, Dollar
and
Tree
Family
is
Dollar is
gone.
what's gonna
Yep,
stay.
it's Family Dollar or whatever it is.
Yes, yeah.
That's it.
And I have no comments, so the next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to adjourn.
Like it.
Motion by trustee Seifert to adjourn, seconded by trustee Brindle. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, everyone.